Hello and welcome to Georgia Bulldogs Live here on the Georgia Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Matt Green. My co-host over there, Bo Underwood. Bo, how you feeling today, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Matt?
I can't complain, man. A little under the weather over here, but I'm trying to battle through it. What can you do? We are on the eve of Christmas Eve. There we go. Yeah, man, just this is always the weirdest time of the football season, where this long layoff after the SEC championship, which with Georgia football history in the last not 9 seasons, that's been basically in the SEC championship every year, and then have this layoff. So it's weird, but only another week or so till Georgia's back in action.
Yeah, I've been under the weather myself too, but it's hard to be. I mean, it definitely set me back a couple of days in terms of Christmas shopping, which was annoying. Like I had to do some last second scrambling today, but we're too close to Christmas for me to be that upset about really much of anything right now. But yeah, weird time of year, with the playoff games being like 11 days after the first round, I think it is, because they're the 19th and the 20th, and Georgia's playing on the first. It is a weird layoff, but hopefully it doesn't cool off the Bulldogs too much like a baseball team would.
Yeah, and a lot of people made a big deal of that from last year with all 4 of the teams that had the first round bye losing?
Yeah.
It's like there was extenuating circumstances there. Like I think you're still gonna want to be one of those 4 bye teams. I think we'll see that on Saturday. I want to say Saturday, but obviously these games aren't being played on Saturday. One of my pet peeves with the college football playoff, but we'll get into some of we could change some things about the playoff at some point. But appreciate everyone who's watching live. T-Bone, one of our most loyal followers, chiming in here. Go with the Go Dogs. T-Bone, I appreciate you watching live. Tell your friends, tell your family, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. But the first round of the playoffs is in the books, Bo, and people have a lot of opinions on that first round. I may have just lost Bo there. I lost the visual there, but people had a lot of opinions of that first round of the playoff. Obviously Alabama and Oklahoma, and then Miami and Notre Dame were the 2 best games. And then we had a couple blowouts on Saturday night. But what were your overall takeaways from maybe you want to start with Alabama or you want to start with Miami of the first round of the of the playoff?
Yeah, nothing that really surprised me too much. I mean, I thought it was we got a great game between Miami and A&M. We got a good game between Bama and Oklahoma, and then we got 2 blowouts, which for my money for a first round of the college football playoff is pretty good, because usually most of the games are terrible, even without the whole group of 5 of it all involved in there. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved that Miami A&M game. That was a lot of fun to watch. It was crazy that A&M couldn't score a touchdown on its home field the whole time, and Miami couldn't throw the ball to save their life, but the running game was going crazy. Their running back was averaging 15 yards a carry, and then they had the last drive touchdown and then get the pick in the end zone to win it. That was a great game. So excited to see them play Ohio State. I think we've got a pretty great quarterfinal slate pretty much the whole way between all 4 of these games are pretty good. I mean, Oklahoma couldn't beat Bama a third time. The Tide got their revenge, came roaring back. I think it was they had like 24 unanswered points at one point, or maybe it was 20 unanswered.
No, I think that's right.
Yeah, but that was a really good game too. So
it may have been 27 unanswered, right? I think they were up 27-17 after being down 17-0.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 27 is, I think that is right. But yeah, as much as people are going to want to focus on the group of 5 stuff and talk about all that first, I think there was a lot of good stuff in this first round of the playoff, and I think it set the table for what should hopefully be a pretty good quarterfinal and semifinal.
Yeah, I would say I've never seen a game just turn like that Oklahoma-Alabama game did, except for we kind of saw a game like that earlier this year with Georgia-Auburn. That was that was kind of just domination for the first 40 or for there's 28 minutes, and then domination on the other side for the last 32 minutes. But yeah, basically once that Xavier Robinson dude dropped that third down pass, it was like the wheels completely fell off. Like they were up 17-7. Like I know Herb Street kept pointing back to like the fourth down conversion that they scored the touchdown on Alabama right before that. And that was obviously huge. Like that could have been game over if they don't get it. But just the fact that you still had you were driving the next time you got the ball, you're Oklahoma. And then once you had that drop, and people were criticizing Mateer for not running for it. And it's like, obviously he could have picked it up. He could have picked up 10 yards on the ground there, but that's maybe a touchdown pass. Like it's a gain of like 40. Like, yeah. So obviously hindsight's 2020, but yeah, after that, so before that drop, they had 4 drives, 2 touchdowns, 1 field goal. After that drop, they had 9 drives. Excuse me. They had 9 drives, 1 interception, 2 missed field goals, 4 punts, and 1 touchdown. So it was just, they didn't do anything after that. It was such a weird game. I do hate that Oklahoma had to play Alabama. That we had a rematch in the first round. And then a lot of people kind of talking like Miami Notre Dame was like a terrible game. Like it wasn't like a great game per se, but like it's college football, man. Like there's turnovers, there's missed field goals, there's blocked field goals. Like both teams were moving the ball, but the wind was insane. Like they legit couldn't kick in that. Like I felt like the College Game Day kicker should have gotten like his money back or something. Like because that dude would have hit both of those field goals if not for that wind. Like the pros were out there missing field. Did you see the game day?
Yeah, I felt so bad for that kid, man. He should have made it both times.
He really it looked like it was right down the middle, and that wind just took it. But yeah, it was those were definitely the fun games, and then you had just the predictable blowouts with Ole Miss and Oregon in the afternoon and evening slate.
Yeah, for sure. I know everyone's saying that no more group of 5 teams. We need to keep fixing. We need to keep changing the college football playoff to get it right, bro. Trust me. This next format we have, this next model we have, this is the one that's going to fix everything. So, sure enough, yeah. Every single year, there's this conversation happens. It's like, how can we fix it? It's like maybe you can't. You made a busted system.
It's the Atlanta Interstate, man. You just add one more lane, and then that'll fix it.
Yeah, like that'll do it. I'm sure
that'll be the one that does it. Well, that leads me to my next to the next topic. So that's a good segue there. Like, do you think the G5 should be included in the college football playoff?
Yeah, I do. I think if you're going to make it 12 teams, there should absolutely be at least one group of 5 slot. This year, the ACC sucked and only sent 1 team, and it wasn't even their champion, so it made room for another one. I don't see how that's the G5's fault. So, yeah, I think they deserve a shot. They probably shouldn't ever have 2 teams in. That shouldn't ever really be a thing that can happen unless they're both just two group of 5 teams that are genuinely in the top 12. But I am still a supporter of at least one group of 5 spot. Yes.
See, yeah, maybe I'm in favor of 1 still. I think you have an argument. I think James Madison, and I obviously they did cover the spread, so I guess they were competitive, but it wasn't really competitive. Yeah, a little backdoor cover, but like I think this was a case of like a situation like this happens again, the ACC champ is getting in. Like Duke, 5-loss Duke is getting in. Like I'd rather have 5-loss Duke in this tournament than James Madison. Like at least Duke beat like 7 ACC teams this year. Like that is something. Like that's more than Tulane and James Madison did, even if it is a bad conference. But I think you still take the winner of the major conference, I think, moving forward. Personally.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a 12-team playoff, man, and I'm just super pessimistic about the future of college football anyway. So I'm just like never able to get that interested in scenarios where people are like, "How can we fix the playoff?" I'm just, I don't care because like you already broke it. There's no fixing it. But yeah, if we're gonna have 12 teams, I think that one group of five spot is probably fine. Two is probably this year is probably an example of why two should never be a thing. But I mean, no one's ever gonna be happy with the playoff. Every single year, no matter who's in it, there's always gonna be think pieces and articles and all this stuff coming out every year about like proposing ways to fix the playoff. Like no one will ever be happy with it. So that's how I feel about it. I know that's such a nothing take, and it's kind of cynical, and it's kind of like feels like I'm above it all, which I'm not. I'm not saying that I am, but like I just I only have the energy to get into the nitty gritty of college football structuring and playoff structuring so many times, and we're on like year 11 of this. In 2050, are we still going to be pondering ways to fix the college football playoff, man?
If it's broken, absolutely we will, sir. But we are not above it, sir. That's why we are going to come up with our best solution. We're here for the solutions, not just for the problems. We all know about the problems, right?
Yeah.
We want to come up with solutions. I have a list. If you don't have ones that come up off the top of your head, I have a list of like if you could make one change that you think would fix the CFP. I can just go through the list and you tell me, and then we can go back through them, kind of the details. Yeah. But all right, so these are the options that just off the top of my head. Tell me which of these you think sounds best. So first option is no G5. We just kind of talked about that. Second option, no automatic bids, which essentially just means you seed them 1 through 12. Next one, number of teams. Should it not be 12? Should we get it down to 8? Should we get down to 4? But then the one I because I'm kind of like you, I don't really know exactly how you fix it. I would have said, I'll say this about the number of teams because I'm definitely a 4-team playoff proponent. It felt like the BCS was such a great era of college football, but the 4-team playoff just kind of gave a little room for error. You know, it's like maybe we don't get the top 2 right, but if we get the top 4, let's play that on the field. Like, and then I just felt like that system worked really well. People misconstrued that it was the same teams every year for like just there were some programs that had some unprecedented dominance. Like Clemson had a great run for like 7 or 8 years. Like Alabama would have dominated in any format, you know? So it's like, I don't know what you want to be mad about. Like, that's why we got a lot of the same matchups over and over. Like Georgia was not one of the same old when the playoffs started, you know. By the end of it, it's like, oh, Georgia again, you know. It's like, well, we're a new team. You can't be tired of us winning. We just won a couple for the first time in 40 years. But I would have said that going back to 4-team would be the number one fix. But I think the huge conferences have kind of ruined that. I think the huge conferences, like we got lucky this year. There was a chance Texas A&M, if Texas A&M beats Texas, then they're in the SEC championship without one win over like a top 6 SEC team. So the fact that A&M lost, and then you got Georgia, Alabama, you have like, you know, a more legitimate SEC champion. Maybe that's just Georgia homer over here, but they just, A&M didn't have that schedule. So excuse me, I'm over here hiccuping. Right. But you look at A&M, like if they had gotten in, then it would have been a real issue having 4 teams. So I don't think that is the ultimate. I don't think that's the ultimate fix. Personally, I think you kind of open maybe 8 is better. But the number one thing I want to change about the playoff is this round right here should be home playoff games. There is no reason why you're a top 4 team and you don't get a home playoff game. I just think that part is just so jacked up to me.
Yeah, I agree. I would also, I mean, if I can make that change, I would. I would say my one change, if I can make it, would just be go to 8 teams and not have any auto bids. I just think that like we don't need 12. 12 is too many. I also agree. I think 4 was perfect for that era, but now that there's more, the conferences are unnecessarily large, and NIL has kind of spread out the quality of rosters more evenly. I think that there's probably like I never thought through the entire 4-team era that there were ever more than 4 teams that were deserving of making a championship. Maybe 2022, Florida State getting left out. That could have been a year, but for the most part, I think 4 teams. Even then, it was really only there were a couple of years. It was really only Bama, Clemson had a chance, and 3 and 4 were just like whoever. But this year, I think that, or this era now, I think that number is probably closer to 8. And I know that 9 and 10 got wins this year, so that defeats my whole point because you can be like, well, look at it, they won. But like, I don't know. I think 8 teams is enough. And yeah, I would probably do it like you said. I would do 8 teams with the first round be in home stadiums, and then semis and the championship can be bowl games. But
yeah, but I don't think the fact that 9 and 10 won invalidates the idea that there's the 8 deserving teams. Like obviously it's college football. Like anything can happen. It's just you gotta cut off have the cutoff somewhere. Like this outrage about Notre Dame is just like hilarious.
Yeah, see, like
they have some sort of impressive resume and they're being screwed. Like it's just
that. It's ridiculous.
It's hilarious.
10-2, 10-2 team with that lost both of their high profile games. And like we should have been in. And like if it's 12 teams right now, 13 and 14 are pissed they didn't make it. All right. We can't. It's so stupid to act like, okay, let's just make it 18 teams and then no one will be mad. No, dude, 19 and 20 are going to be pissed. They're going to be like, we went 8 and 4 and we have 2 top 25 wins. How are we not in the playoff? Like
you said, if you win 8 games in a big time conference, you make the playoff.
In the SEC, that should be enough to make the playoff. Like it's never going to stop. It's an anger machine. That's all the college football playoff ever has been and ever will be. We're just adding more anger the more teams we add. So if it was up to me, I would shrink it, but Lord knows that is not what we're going to do. This whole thing is driven by money. So
yeah, I mean, this would have been very clean for 8, for a year for 8 as well, because obviously Alabama, Miami wouldn't be in there if you had it at 8, but it's like 8 over 9 would have been Oklahoma over Alabama. It's like Oklahoma beat Alabama. No one's arguing. Obviously Alabama wins the SEC. They would have jumped someone to get in, but they weren't. They were on the outside looking in before the SEC championship, and it didn't boost them. So, and then A&M is a one loss team down there at 7. Like I think everyone would have been fine with that. And that 8 teams right there would have been a whole lot of fun. Like that
would have been fun.
I think I'm with you. I think 8 teams would be that perfect number. But yeah, I just really want to see home playoff games in this round of the tournament. Like it's just, I think the biggest, I don't know what the one thing is. I've had this conversation with a few people because like there's this idea about like college football fans that like they're stuck in their ways and they don't want to change and things like that. It's like, well, things keep changing. You got to get used to it. And it's like, I don't know what the one thing is about college football that makes me like it more than pro football or every other sport that exists, but everything together makes it my favorite sport in the world, right? I don't think it's the amateur thing of the players. Maybe it's the fact that they're students and they have more pride in the school or something like that, or the home atmosphere, the campus environment, all of that stuff. Like the different regular seasons, that sort of thing. It's a more regional sport. I don't know what exactly it is that makes me like college football more than everything else. But if you continue to change everything about college football, at some point it's not going to have those advantages that it had over everything else. And I think the stadium atmospheres is like the biggest thing it has over every American sport. And the fact that we're playing these big time games, and obviously the Rose Bowl is always cool, so you can't even hate on the Rose Bowl, but the Rose Bowl should be the national championship every year. I think that's my new stance. Like that just in the season, January 1st with the Rose Bowl, like college baseball does, ending it in Omaha every year. Like these games should be played on Saturdays in home environments. Like, and I just think that makes the college season just more cohesive, that we go all the way into December and we're still playing on Saturdays.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as someone who personally enjoys the NFL more than college football, which I know the reason the reason I always hear people say college is so much better is all these vibes based reasons that are like the
Yeah.
pageantry and the stadiums and the tradition. It's like, well, we get less and less of that every single year.
Yeah.
With how the conferences make no geographical sense anymore, and schools are moving their regular season games to neutral sites to get more NIL money, and there's only one.
Schools aren't playing longtime rivals.
Yeah, like all that stuff is going away, so it's getting harder and harder and harder for me to really get that argument of it. And the only way to really kind of get some of that back is to just start playing on campus stadiums again. But unfortunately, that's not where the money is, so they're just going to stop. I mean, like it's really sad to see like a sport so ingrained in school pride and loving your team and your colors and all that stuff and where you're from and your home and all that, like all of that just being swallowed up into TV overlord land. It's pretty sad because college football is just a made for TV commodity now, like any other pro sport is, and it's not supposed to be that way, but we're well past that point. So
well, that's another big issue I have with this year's bracket is I think what you're saying, it's either the conspiracy viewpoint or just like the cynical viewpoint that this is a made for TV product now, right?
Well, it literally is.
Yeah,
the college football is not like an NCAA thing. It's an agreement between ESPN and the conferences. So it is like by definition made for TV by TV.
Yeah. And if that's the case, how in the hell do you not set up Carson Beck in Miami playing Georgia in the second round? What are you doing if you're a made for TV product and not setting up this intriguing, scenario of Carson Beck playing his former team? Also, the fact that Georgia should be ahead of Ohio State 2-3 to begin with, like the SEC champion 12-1 versus a 12-1 non-conference champion, like seems like that would have been an easy call. But yeah, I feel like the playoff committee just missed a huge one. Obviously these games are going to get ratings regardless. I don't care about TV ratings, but some people do. But it's like Georgia versus Miami is just perfect. Like that's just perfect drama. I don't know. I'm glad we're avoiding it from a toxic UGA fan base perspective, but I'm shocked that we didn't get that matchup.
I am too. Yeah, I really am also. Like I want it to happen in the semifinal really bad because could you imagine, man? Like I cannot believe they didn't schedule it in the quarterfinal because they totally could have if they wanted to.
You could have done it just to avoid a Georgia Ole Miss rematch.
Yeah.
In the second round, like let's maneuver the bracket or manipulate the bracket so that we don't get. And that's another thing of mine is it just you gotta prevent the rematches. Like Alabama and Oklahoma shouldn't have played in the first round. Like Tulane and Ole Miss shouldn't have played in the first round. Like, I mean, maybe that's a little different because it's a cupcake, but like, I don't know. Just you got to do something. Like the NCAA basketball tournament does things like this. Like if there's 4 teams from one conference that make the NCAA tournament, like they're not going to face each other until the Final Four. Like they just, I don't know. The 5 SEC teams. Or the 4 that were in action last week should have been playing in 4 different games. And the fact that we get so few of these matchups, it's not the NFL where so many of these teams are playing each other. We get so few of these matchups, like with different conferences. For Oklahoma to beat Alabama and then it's like, hey, here's your reward. Get to play Alabama again to prove your worth. It's like we already proved we're better than Alabama. Let's get Oregon. Let's get another team we haven't played this season. I hated that aspect of the playoff this year. I didn't think we hadn't gotten that much in the previous playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think we ever really got a lot of rematches in the playoff. It's weird that we got 2. Like it killed any ability to like psych yourself up about the Tulane Ole Miss game and convince yourself that Tulane could pull off the upset. A lot of that was nullified once you went back and realized like, oh, they played each other already and Ole Miss beat them by 35 or whatever. So it was just tough to get hype for that game for that reason alone. So I am surprised. I mean, like they didn't have Tulane play A&M and Miami play Ole Miss or something like that. Like I don't know, but definitely weird. Definitely a strange decision by the committee. Maybe they did it as part of this long con to show that they're not just looking out for TV, and they can point back to this year and be like, "Look, remember when we scheduled these bad games that no one wanted to watch?" Um, I'm not sure what's going on there, but yeah, I would have definitely seeded this into in a way that would have made it a bit more interesting for sure. I mean, you could have done if you wanted, like you could have done Alabama versus A&M would have been a more compelling first round matchup, or you could have flipped Ole Miss
I
and A&M.
definitely, yeah,
Like
you could have easily flipped Miami and Alabama and
Ole Miss
avoided
and
those.
yeah, Ole Miss and A&M have the same resume. I don't think anyone would have cared if one was seeded sixth and the other was seventh. Like, yeah,
And that's where that's where the weekly rankings like pigeonholes them, because it's like, oh, Ole Miss is better than A&M in last week's rankings. Now neither of them play, and now you have A&M ahead of Ole Miss. Is they just waited to the entire season, then just came out with their one rankings. It's like, this is it. I feel like they wouldn't have to. Then no one's hating on putting Miami over Notre Dame and all that other stuff.
That's
but
because remember like the penultimate ratings they did. They like randomly snuck Alabama one spot above Notre Dame, and that was the first hint that they were like, we're gonna put Bama in no matter what.
After they barely beat Auburn, it's like there was nothing about their performance versus Auburn. And I was like, oh, okay, Alabama looked impressive. Let's jump them up one spot. They were like, well, that was a rivalry game and they ran the ball better. It was like, it was just so terrible, like rationale. Like the guy sounded like an idiot.
Yeah, like Alabama won, so it's water under the bridge at this point, and you just sound like a hater if you keep talking about how they shouldn't have made it. But it's crazy that just they had to make that choice to keep Alabama in, because otherwise it would have started this whole powder keg of teams opting out of conference championships, and they wanted to kick that down the can a few years down the road and not have to deal with it until then, so they kept Bama in. And here we go. Now people are picking Bama to beat Oklahoma or beat Indiana. So
yeah, I think I am happy Alabama got in just from that perspective. I feel like I was rooting for Oklahoma in this game because I don't know. Oklahoma just been a team. They've been maybe my second favorite team in college football this year. Just the way they play defense, and just like they don't really have a good offense, but they just kind of find ways to win. Their schedule has just been ridiculous, and I don't know. They've played in more big time games, I feel like, than any other team in college football, and just found a way to win a lot of them. So I found myself rooting for Oklahoma, but now seeing this second round matchup with Indiana versus Alabama, it's like, okay, I really do want to see Indiana go through Alabama. Like, I don't know who Indiana's beaten so far this year. Like, they did beat Oregon, they beat Ohio State, of course. But it's like those are 2 games in their 13-game schedule, and it's the other 9 are basically a cakewalk. So that math is not mathing. The other 11. So yeah, I am happy to see Indiana go up against Alabama. It'll be a real win-win situation for us SEC fans, because if Alabama loses, you're just like, well, yeah, cool. Alabama, they lost 3 games in the SEC. We're not rooting for Alabama. And then if Alabama wins, you can just be like, SEC, it's different down here. Just hashtag it just means more.
It means more. Yeah.
But we'll see, man. It's gonna be a crazy playoff. The first weekend was a little bit of a buzzkill with some of those blowouts, but I think this final 8 is going to be really fun to watch. And unfortunately, I don't feel like we learned anything about the Ole Miss Rebels from watching them smash Tulane for the second time this year. This year with the Tulane's head coach having one foot out the door, like, cool. You beat a team that you had better players than.
Yeah, that's definitely true. If anything, it did teach us the one thing that I was really looking to see is, like, is Ole Miss going to come out looking crazy, discombobulated on offense? Are they going to come out there looking like they don't know what they're doing without Kiffin? And I didn't expect that to be the case, and it wasn't. I mean, their offense was automatic. I think they scored on their first, like, within their first 3 plays or something. They scored. They went down the field super quickly. So obviously, yes, it was against a lesser opponent, and you have to take that into account, but they took care of business. I mean, they blew out a bad group of 5 playoff team, and that's what good playoff teams are supposed to do. So I think it showed me that these guys are still still a powerhouse. They've got a lot of firepower without Kiffin there, and it'll be a tough out again for Georgia.
Yeah, for sure. It's just like I'm not sitting here trying to just disrespect Tulane the whole show here, but you could tell how overmatched they were from the first snap of the game. Yeah, like you said, what Ole Miss scored in like 58 seconds or something like that. Like it was on from there. But yeah, Trinidad Chambliss, another good game. Kewan Lacey obviously got hurt in this one. I think that's definitely a big storyline. But yeah, it's like in terms of what's that?
I think they said he had Golding said he has like a shoulder bruise. So I assume he'll play. But that is something to monitor.
Is that Kerryon Johnson or something like that?
Yeah,
right? It was
right.
like a shoulder bruise.
Yeah,
and
he'll have a little bit more time to rest in that, a few extra days.
Gary Danielson didn't give us any credit for that performance. It was just all about Kerryon Johnson.
Yeah, every single carry. I mean, it was like, you see, once he fumbled at the end, it was like,
that's true. It's that shoulder. That's what it is. But no, Kerryon Johnson was a straight baller that year, so it probably didn't help.
Yeah, but that's definitely not a good sign for them, though, because I mean, Lacey only rushed for 30 yards against Georgia the first time around, so they need him at full strength. That's not gonna
they definitely do. Yeah, and here's the stats for the first matchup: Georgia 43, Ole Miss 35, 510 yards of offense Georgia had in this game. 221 to 88 on the ground, and then the time of possession right there, that was definitely the biggest difference. Like it was like this was one of the best games of the entire SEC season, I would probably say, right? Definitely one of Georgia's most entertaining games of the year. Like Gunnar Stockton's coming out party, like the time of possession was just so crazy to me. I just kept going back, like I was just almost blown away by it, just looking at because the whole storyline was Ole Miss scoring 5 touchdowns on their first 5 drives, right? But it was absurd to me that their first 5 drives were the first 3 quarters of the game. Like it took 3 quarters for them to have 5 drives because Georgia was able to dominate time possession. Like that, this felt like, because I think Kirby Smart is finally getting credit this past year and in 2024 and 2025 for kind of how good of a coach he truly is, like in game. He's not just a recruiter and all that stuff. It's like he's truly like manipulating the game in his team's favor. And this felt like one of the games this year that like Kirby Smart like won this game. Like Georgia's just approach to, how they just, held onto the ball so much and everything like that. Like you weren't able to stop Ole Miss obviously for 3 quarters. So the defensive performance wasn't anything great, but the fact that you were able to dominate the clock and everything, then you just get a couple of stops in the first, you essentially hold serve a couple of times in the 4th quarter and you win the game. So it was just, I feel like there's been, I would say Ole Miss felt like the better team in this game, but Georgia just kind of did the things they needed to do to win the game. That 4th down that we talked about a lot at, what was it? Why am I blanking on number 2's name? Illinois, Josh McCray. Yeah, McCray picking up that 4th down. That was like 3rd quarter, I think, when Georgia's still down multiple scores or something at that point. So yeah, you're down 9 going into the 4th quarter and then outscore Ole Miss 17-0 in the 4th quarter. It was just I don't know, just one of the, it's hard to say one of the more improbable wins for Georgia this year because they had a couple, they just had a bunch of crazy kind of games early in the season, but just the way they were kind of being dominated, it felt like, and then a switch just flipped in the 4th quarter and then they come out on top. It was just kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, I think it was the defense just got a lot more aggressive and a lot more fearless with how they were willing to just mug the Ole Miss receivers at the line. There was a lot more press man in the 4th quarter and a lot less training wheels, I guess I would say, for the Georgia defensive backs. I mean, it was pretty much on them in the 4th quarter to jam those guys at the line and shut them down that way. And they did. I mean, Ole Miss was just facing pretty soft coverages throughout the game. And then once they were getting those in the 4th quarter, those more man looks where they had to kind of earn it more earn the separation a little more. They couldn't get it, and I think that'll be worth looking into because Georgia's defense has just stepped up a lot over the second half of the year, and that fourth quarter against Ole Miss is what always gets pointed to as kind of the point where they started to grow up a little bit. I'd say that's the fourth. Like you can't put a season long like trend like that on one quarter or one little display of defense. But if you were going to, like, that would be kind of where you would approximate it, right? Because that's where I think Ellis Robinson started really stepping up and growing up as a boundary corner, where his physicality started to improve a little bit because he was out there for a lot of the earlier part of the year and was just kind of not very contact friendly, and he was getting burned and he was having kind of brain farts in coverage, and that just all changed with the Ole Miss game. So I don't think that it's gotten to this point where like, oh, Georgia just knows how to stop Ole Miss now, and they're going to shut them out in this next game. But I don't expect them to go 5-for-5 to start the game anymore.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's probably not that simple to just point to, one moment, but if there was like a line of demarcation of when this defense became like an elite defense, it kind of does seem like the fourth quarter of the Ole Miss game and on is when they kind of took that step. And it's easy to be to oversimplify it, that like things like that, because of how Georgia played against Alabama. Like they give it 24 points in the first half and then shut them out in the second half. And then the next time they played, they basically shut them out for just about 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Obviously Alabama got a touchdown late, but so if they take that same trajectory versus Ole Miss, maybe they just figured out how to guard this guy. Maybe that's what it is, and they and then it's hard to, maybe I'm overstating Lane Kiffin's presence to Ole Miss, but if Georgia kind of figured something out about Ole Miss's offense, you can't love Ole Miss's chances without their offensive-minded head coach.
Yeah, that's fair. But also, I think a lot of the Kiffin stuff is kind of offset by how much Chambliss has continued to grow throughout the year, because he has had 5-6 starts since the last time they played Georgia. And, we spent a lot of time talking on this show about Gunnar Stockton's progression throughout the year. Well, Chambliss has had it too. I mean, he has really become just a complete, needle mover, like guy who can put the team on his back type of player for Ole Miss. I mean, he can run around he can make throws to pretty much all areas of the field. He's done well operating in structure. When the play breaks down, he knows what to do. He can find a play that way. He can improvise by time. Like, he's a really complete and dangerous quarterback. And I think that he's probably a better player now than he was when they played Georgia. So assuming he's not like banged up, because I know he got hurt against Tulane and Austin Simmons came in for a little bit, but Chambliss is really good, man. So I think that the Kiffin stuff is kind of like, it does sting to lose him, but you've still got Weiss there calling the plays. It's still Weiss's system technically at the end of the day. And I think Chambliss also has enough to where he can kind of elevate you in certain moments. So I'm excited to watch these two quarterbacks, man, because we obviously saw Gunnar have to do that against Ole Miss last time around, and he did a great job of that too. So it should be a quarterback duel.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Chambliss, I think that was his first SEC road start, the first time Georgia and Ole Miss played. So he's definitely come a long way since then. But yeah, you see the stats there on the screen. Chambliss has started 7 games versus Power 4 competition this year. This is just so say what you want about including Tulane as a game, whether or not that should be included in the stats. I did not include it in the stats. So I think the only game this really is missing is Kentucky. I think Kentucky's the one like Power 4 team they played this year with Austin Simmons as the starter. But yeah, so I mean, this is 3 less games, 7 games versus 10 games versus Power 4 competition for Gunnar. So 3 less games. They've thrown for basically the same number of yards. So, he's throwing for about 90 yards more a game than Gunnar. But what I found interesting right there is the touchdowns, the picks. Like,
yeah,
10 of Chambliss's 19 touchdowns were versus Power 4 competition this year. 21 of Gunnar's 23 touchdowns were versus Power 4 competition. So Gunner is not doing anything to juice the stats versus the I wish he'd do a little more to juice the stats versus Marshall and Austin P and Charlottes of the world. But so I think it says a lot, like how many more games Gunner has had versus Power 4 competition, and I think his performance in those games. But both of them, 45 yards a game versus 34 yards a game, pretty similar on the ground in their production. Gunner has 70 to 62 as far as the completion percentage, and then some of the advanced stats, the QBR, the expected points added, and then I think the PAA is like points above the like average quarterback essentially. So Trinidad Cham was like top 5 in the country and almost all of those, like and Stockton right behind him. Yeah. So I mean, these have been 2 of the better quarterbacks all season. And like we said, this was Gunner Stockton's coming out party the first time these 2 teams have played. Like, has this Ole Miss defense gotten better than they were that on that October Saturday in Athens? Like, I'm still not sure personally.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I feel like it wouldn't be the same level of growth that maybe Georgia has seen from its defense, but they are both pretty young defenses. They're both in pretty similar situations wherein like they graduated a lot of NFL talent last year, although Ole Miss probably does have more, they've still got, Perkins there and I always pronounce his name wrong, but Umanli, I forget.
Oh, but, yeah. It's like Uman Mielen, I think.
Uman Mielen. But like, so they've got veteran players and stuff up front too, who were holdovers from last year's team. But Georgia, aside from some of the off-ball linebackers, like Georgia didn't have a lot of cornerstones of last year's defense. It was a lot of young guys, freshmen, sophomores, who like have just kind of had to get thrown in the fire and grow that way throughout the year. And so Ole Miss defense might not have that same level of like, wow, they look night and day. But that's also because they weren't last in the SEC in sacks for the first half of the year like Georgia was. Like Georgia had a lot more room for growth because their pass rush was so ineffective to begin the year. So I definitely think it's probably more of a factor. Georgia's defense maybe changing and being a bit different than it was from the last time that they played than Ole Miss is, but I can't sit here and act like Georgia's defense is this completely new unit, whereas Ole Miss is like the same. I wouldn't want to go into it thinking like that.
Yeah, I think that's fair, except I don't think Ole Miss has had the same level of improvement. So let me see if I can pull up so this is these stats right here, like see 6-1. I am just including like Trinidad Chambliss starts, like what Ole Miss was like once Trinidad Chambliss became the starter. But this is offense and defensive stats, obviously. But like they gave up 262 on the ground to Mississippi State. Gave up 221 to Georgia, 221 to Arkansas. That was early in the season. So those are their 3 worst defensive performances as far as on the ground. Gave up 115 to Tulane in the first round matchup, 178 to Tulane in the first matchup they actually played on the ground. But yeah, the 150 yards a game on the ground, I think is definitely the most glaring stat when you compare these 2 teams, because Georgia wants to run and obviously 150 compared to 86 a game on the ground. Like this is obviously just first Power 4 competition. I don't know where Georgia ranks only in the Power 4 competition, but I imagine there can't be 5 teams better than them in college football in terms of game, like that are allowing less than 85 yards a game, right, against Power 4 competition this year. So their run D has been really good this year. And like you said earlier, like what did Lacey, I think, had like 12 for 31 in the first matchup. Like they were able to limit him. It feels like Georgia's gotten more of an identity as the season's gone on, as far as offensively and what they want to do to teams and running the football. And Ole Miss hasn't really turned that corner and like started shutting anyone down. Like they shut down South Carolina on the ground and they shut down LSU on the ground. Other than that, basically everyone has had success running the ball against them.
Yeah, and that was something that Georgia did well even at the early part of the year, where the defense was, being maligned as this bad unit, is like they were still stopping the run then. They've only continued to do that now. They're fourth in the country here in rushing yards per game. The only teams allowing fewer than them are Indiana, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech, who obviously all made the playoff themselves. So yeah, that's definitely the big thing for me, and that was the big thing that I think we were talking about when these teams played in October. Is like, well, Ole Miss, they've got this high flying offense. They're top five, and I think passing and rushing at the time. And they have a good, their pass defense numbers at the time were pretty good. But you look at that 150 on the ground per game is pretty glaring for a playoff team. That's a pretty significant weakness in college football to be allowing that many yards. And sure enough, Georgia dominated on the ground last game. They rushed for over 200, and they controlled time of possession by like 15 minutes the whole way, and that ended up pretty much being the reason they won the game, or at least a major reason for it. And so the fact that Ole Miss defense has not really shored up in that area, like you said, like they haven't really had anything that's been like, okay, they've turned a corner, they're stopping the run now. Like that hasn't really happened. And so I think it's definitely fair to just to peddle that talking point yet again, roll it out yet again as Georgia's playing Ole Miss, because they haven't been able to figure it out. And Georgia has not been as explosive in the run game lately after the Drew Bobo injury, especially. But Alabama has a pretty good run defense. It's middle of the pack. It's nothing special, but it's better than Ole Miss by I'd have to imagine a few yards. I could be completely wrong. Let me look at that actually. Alabama's allowing 120 on the game, and Georgia did fine against them in terms of just keeping things like on schedule. I think Ole Miss is gonna let you get an explosive or two.
And I feel like just eye test wise, Alabama's defense just feels better than Ole Miss's. Yeah. Like it seems like more difficult. Like it felt like that Oklahoma game was kind of similar to this, how Georgia was in the SEC championship, at least early. Like Oklahoma was kind of only scoring when they got short fields, kind of playing the complementary, the field position game and stuff like that, getting turnovers. They didn't have many just like driving 80 yards on Alabama. So I'm curious to see how this shakes out. We're gonna make our picks next Monday. We're gonna have someone from the Ole Miss show come on here. We haven't figured out just yet, but Sanjay chiming in here. Just want to make Ole Miss fans shut up about beating Tulane. Not hard. Hey, I wonder if that's like an advantage Georgia kind of has in this one. Is there a chance Tulane or Ole Miss is feeling themselves a little bit? Like first college football playoff win in school history. Like they're not quite as hungry, lose that edge a little bit.
I think they're probably they might be the hungriest team in the whole playoff though, man. They've got to feel abandoned and cheated and lied to by their coach who left for LSU. I think those guys have a chip on their shoulder that's just massive, man.
That's
like
fair.
I don't think like I think they see this as step one,
Yeah, this could be one of those few games. I mean, you got a Division II quarterback. I think you have a permanent chip on your shoulder, I'm sure. Yeah. This guy. But yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the few games that Georgia's going to be outnumbered, and I think Georgia fans are going to be outnumbered in a neutral site.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, because it's right there.
It's right there, and this is, I mean, not to talk shit. Like people use this as like a jab, but like this is a Super Bowl for Ole Miss. Like going to the Sugar Bowl to play Georgia, like
Georgia too.
But I'm just saying, I'm saying Georgia's played bigger games.
I get what you're saying though.
But Ole Miss, like they've never played in a game that's going to send them to the Final Four of college football.
This is the biggest game in Ole Miss history, no?
I think it has to be, since they've never gone to an SEC championship. Yeah. Like an SEC championship is kind of a doorstep to the 14 playoff or something. Yeah. Like Georgia was in some of those games. Like Ole Miss has never been in a game that's like you win this, you're going to the championship game, or you're going to the Final Four or something like that. So I think you'd have to call it the biggest game, at least of our lifetime in Ole Miss history. As far as like winning a national championship is concerned. I know that I'm sure the Archie Manning days had some big games or whatever, but it's a different world now.
Yeah. And I don't mean that as like a diss, because like I hate when people are like, it's your Super Bowl. Like you care so much
Exactly.
that you won, but I don't even care. Like that's annoying. But yeah, I think that it definitely does play a factor in the travel. But Georgia fans are gonna have to be aware of that, and they're gonna have to be willing to make the trip themselves, because we can't get lazy and complacent as a fan base with all these playoff games. These are a blessing, and you have to appreciate every single one of them, because every single time another fan base makes the playoff for the first time, and I see them online, or hear them in person talking about how excited they are about the game and how big it is and looking forward to it, I'm always like transported back to like 2017, how I felt for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, we're in the playoff. Like
Yeah.
it's a cool deal, man. Like it makes you happy for other fan bases, because like these games are huge. These games mean a lot to a lot of people. So it should be a sick environment in there in New Orleans. Hopefully, God forbid, there's no New Year's Eve tragedy in New Orleans this year that was like the
Yeah.
early game or anything. I mean, that was crazy last year, and it put a weird air over things before the game even kicked off. So I'm hoping for a much better atmosphere this time around.
Yeah, for sure. Knock on wood for that. But yeah, like I could legitimately say in 2017 that like I was just happy to be there as a
Yeah.
Georgia fan. I was like, we're playing Oklahoma. Like this
Yeah.
is awesome. Like Oklahoma's always playing in big games. We're playing Oklahoma now. Like
Yeah.
we're playing a big game. You lost
Yeah.
the national championship, and while obviously it was like a dagger, it was like I feel like we all felt like Kirby Smart after that game.
We
Like
did.
we're not going anywhere. Yeah,
Yeah.
like this team, we're ahead of schedule right now.
Yeah.
The future is bright, but yeah, we'll last thing I'll say, because some of the injury stuff coming out,
Yeah.
like we obviously talked about Kewan Lacey a
Oh,
little bit. That's big, but like I guess Gabe Harris, it sounds
Abe, yeah,
like
he's got turf toe. He's not going to play, right?
Gabe Harris has the curse of the underrated Georgia player finally getting love.
I
I think
know.
that's been the injury. First Colby Young. I feel like everyone started look. Colby Young is taking this receiving group to the next level. Then Drew Bobo finally starts getting love nationally, and then he gets hurt, and now Gabe Harris finally getting some hype, and now the turf toe might keep him out. He's the one that they sounded the most pessimistic about playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it sounds like apparently Ethan Barbour might play in this game after
Harper,
I'm
yeah.
shocked if he plays, but
Kirby
yeah,
said verbatim he's optimistic about Colby Young and Bobo.
yeah, and I was not expecting either of those guys. I was definitely just accepted Colby Young was out for the season a long time ago, and to potentially get him and Bobo back would just be massive.
Yeah. Kirby, I mean, he still said he hopes that Harris can play against Ole Miss from what I'm reading here from Saturday Down South. So it sounds like there's still a chance, but if he doesn't play, that's huge, man. And especially if it turns out to be, I mean, if Georgia wins and it turns out to be a multi-week thing, like that's your best edge rusher just gone. And that's a guy who, yeah, we've been talking about Gabe Harris a lot these last couple of weeks because he's really stepped up. So that would be a huge loss.
Yeah, and it sounds like Joseph Jonah Janye would be the one that's kind of getting those snaps, which kind of surprised me. I thought he was more of an interior guy.
Yeah, I
But
guess he'd be the guy. You
but
do like
also your boy's been getting some hype in practice. Isaiah
yeah.
Gibson potentially coming on. We'll
Yeah.
see.
I mean, the Zayden Walker thing emergence was so random that you can never discount the coaching staff. I mean, because we're not in those practices, so you can never discount the coaching staff one day, just deciding to throw a true freshman in there and just seeing what happens, because they know a lot more about what that guy's been up to than we do. So, yeah, I imagine it. Yeah, it'd be Jonah Janye probably take most of those snaps over at the edge, and then you'd probably cycle in Madozi a little bit, or Quintavious Johnson
Mendoza.
obviously would be on the other side. Chris Cole would probably play some edge. You could use McLeod as like a big edge if you wanted to, on running downs especially. So like there would be ways you could get around it, but it would be tough anytime you lose your best player out of possession and you have to do some finagling to kind of replace him in the aggregate. It's tough, and it makes you sacrifice other areas.
Yeah, and it just sucks for a guy who seems to be playing his best ball of his career as well to get an injury. So hopefully Gabe Harris can be out there, but it's definitely something worth monitoring.
Yeah, that would be tough, man. That would really be tough. Colby Young return to, I know quickly pivot, but that would be an insane happening, man. I didn't think he'd come back at all. So the fact that there's a real chance of that is pretty crazy to me, and that would change the offense completely.
Yeah, I think he posted. I don't know if it was like the Wiz Khalifa Fast and Furious song. Something. It was like something along that vibe. Like when he got hurt, it was like it's over.
Yeah, he's like
like
8 out or whatever. Yeah,
yeah, it was like something like that.
I think the song he posted was like "I Want to Be Forever Young" because his last name.
Oh, is that what?
Yeah, it was a very much like
a sentimental like goodbye song. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. So yeah, if Colby Young came back, this receiving core has been really good all year. Like he's the best like true wide receiver on this team. Like Zachariah Branch, no disrespect to him, he's a gadget guy. He's an amazing gadget guy, best gadget player in college football as far as I'm concerned. But in terms of just true like downfield making contested catches, like Colby Young is the best guy at doing that on this team. So if you're able to get him back, just a couple catches, a George Pickens like impact, one or two big plays in some of these big games, like that's massive in itself.
Yeah, he would open up a lot. I mean, just the perimeter threat that he provides, he forces you to put attention his way down the field, because if you give him a one-on-one, he's probably going to make you pay. So that would in turn, I mean, you put him on a post route and you send a corner and a safety with him, then Branch is open underneath or something like that. I mean, it would really. It's been very impressive to me to see Bobo continue to work around not having a guy like that out there, like a serious perimeter playmaker, because Noah Thomas looks the part, but he just doesn't play with the same strength at the catch point, that makes you want to be, that makes you think that guy's like, that guy's like a real boundary playmaker, like he's not the same guy in contested catch situations as Colby Young. So it's been very impressive to see Bobo, can, like I said, work around that, but it would be even cooler to see him not have to do that anymore, to see him be able to call some man ball shot plays. We haven't really had to see a lot of those.
I do think he has another level of physicality that Noah Thomas doesn't have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just absurd. Like you go back and look at that play he got hurt on, like I don't know what kind of adrenaline is going through these guys' body, like when playing a football game, but like he gets up to a knee and just points the first down. And it's like, this guy broke his tibia on this play. Like, how? I would be on the ground for a while, I think, if I broke my tibia. But shout out to Colby Young. I promised I wasn't going to get my hopes up about Colby Young's return, but I think it's too late for that. I think I've already gotten my hopes up that he's going to be a part. And maybe it's not the Notre Dame. Maybe it's not the Ole Miss game, but maybe it's the Final Four if they get to it. He's able to come back. So what would that date be? Is it the
I think that'd be the 8th or the 7th. It'd be like the 7th or the 8th.
Is that right? Okay.
Of the semifinal.
Yeah, I was trying to see the let me see if I could pull it up real quick. The CFP semifinal date. So the next game is on the 8th and the 9th. Okay, so I guess it depends. Fiesta and Peach Bowl. I don't know which one's which.
Georgia's going to the Fiesta Bowl. If they would go if they won. I mean,
they wouldn't go to the Peach Bowl?
No.
How do you know that?
That's just how the bracket works.
Oh, it's not like a choice of the bowl game or anything? It's like an exact.
I believe so.
Oh, okay. See, I think they don't college basketball. They get like a choice, don't they?
Yeah, I don't think you get to pick in the playoff. I think Georgia's just on the side that goes to the Peach Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl.
Okay. So that would, I mean, I don't think Georgia's ever played in the Fiesta Bowl, have they? I feel like they played. I can remember Georgia playing in every other BCS Bowl except for the Fiesta Bowl. So that'd be cool, just as far as a new trip goes.
Yeah,
for the fans making that trip. I don't know if I'll be able to make that one, but yeah, it'll be good.
Going to Atlanta though, so I know
that's true. And Carson Beck coming to Atlanta after they upset Ohio State. I don't know. Georgia and Ohio State in Atlanta would be a lot of fun.
Oh,
it was a lot of fun the last time, but that's I think that's all I got for tonight's show, sir. I appreciate also Ned Underwood chiming in here. Dog's gonna roll.
Dog's gonna roll.
Shout out, Ned. Appreciate you watching live. Yeah. But anything else from you, sir?
I think that's all I got. We'll have more concrete, organized thoughts on the matchup next week, right? When we talk.
Yes, we will be going. Yeah, we'll be going live Monday at 7:00, and we should have someone from Ole Miss, maybe from the Ole Miss Voice of College Football site or someone else. We'll see. Joining us for that show. Get a little bit of knowledge. Get to know your foe a little bit. But yeah, that's what's so interesting about this game with these two teams already playing one time, but. It was such an evenly matched game the first time. I don't think it would shock anyone if Ole Miss won it the second time. Georgia's a 6.5-point favorite, I think I saw most recently. So that was first game was probably something similar, I would think.
I think so. Yeah, that's probably 5.5 or something like that.
Yeah, but that's all I got, sir.
Yeah, it should be a good game, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for all of these quarterfinal games, but especially this one. So.
Absolutely, and we will talk more about those games on Monday. We'll give our brief thoughts on the rest of the matchups. But yeah, tune in on Monday. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks: 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.